Father Preston,
Rudy,
welcome to In The Pews.
thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for making your way all the way over here to to our area, to Fulshire. How do you pronounce your last name?
Quintela.
Quintela.
But I always use a very simple pronunciation, Quintela.
Quintela.
But the official pronunciation is Quintela.
Quintela.
Yes.
Okay. And are you from Hispanic background?
On my father's side.
On your father's
Yes.
side. And how about your mom's side?
Here in the States. Born in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's what's her ethnic background?
German.
German.
Yes.
Okay, so German Hispanic.
Yes.
Quintela.
Yes.
Now, did you grow up here in Houston?
Yes. No, not in Houston. In Texas, yes, but not in Houston.
Where in Texas?
Fort Stockton. It's about 500 miles west of here on Interstate 10. Halfway between San Antonio and El Paso. It's a little dot on the map. If you blink, you passed it.
So it's one of those small towns.
Yes, yes.
So just like how many people in your town do you know growing
8,000.
up? Okay.
Yeah.
That's not too small.
No.
Did you grow up Catholic?
I did grow up Catholic, nominally at best, I would say.
So every Sunday, most Sundays, you go to church?
No, actually, I went to Mass every single Sunday.
Uh-huh.
And even at some point, my mom, in her conversion, we started to go to Mass every day because she just had this new fire. And I thought, who's this lady? It's going from one extreme to the other. But I was an altar boy for about 10 years. But I say nominally, I didn't understand the why.
Okay.
And that's why I say nominally, because like, well, I'm just doing this because my mom and dad are making me. I went to confirmation because my mom and dad made me go, and type of attitude. But nonetheless, the seeds were definitely planted.
Uh-huh.
A foundation was laid.
You knew all of the practices and all of that.
The prayers, the rote rosary and all that stuff. But I could not tell you why I do it.
Uh-huh. What triggered your mom? Did she go on a retreat or something?
No, I think it was more my dad's solid conviction. And my dad grew up in an era of pray, pay, and obey type of Catholicism.
Okay.
Again, he couldn't tell you he had a strong faith that was given to him by his mom, who had also prayed for a priest in the family. But he was convicted that our kids will be raised Catholic. They're going to be baptized Catholic, and they're going to go to religious education. They're going to go to Mass. And, she kind of grew up hodgepodge of this and that. And eventually, and my parents divorced also when I was young. I have two younger sisters. And so whenever we were with my mom, we would go to literally every denomination in the town of Fort Stockton. And so finally through that quest, the pursuit of truth, she came to this realization, the Catholic Church is it. And so she went through the RCIA process and learned and was welcomed in the church when I was a junior high.
Oh, so she didn't grow up Catholic?
No, she did not grow up Catholic.
She grew up with a denomination?
I don't even know. Again, there was nothing. I know for a fact it wasn't like Baptist or Methodist. It wasn't like a specific long-term practicing of whatever it was. It was just like, we'll go here, we'll go there.
Okay.
With my grandparents, her parents.
Pretty much non-denominational is the way she grew up.
Yes.
But then you said she went to different, she took you all to different churches,
yes. I mean, we were Lutheran, Church of Christ, Baptist.
How old were you at that point?
Somewhere between 7 and 10.
So you pretty much remember going to those different...
Oh, yeah, I do.
And then your mom said, this is where we're going.
This is where we're going, yes.
And then it's been that way ever since. And she went through the whole RCIA process.
Yes. And
wow.
So, yeah. And then again, when we were with my dad it was non-negotiable. Like we were going to Mass.
Oh, whether or not, no matter where your mom ended up.
Yes. So I thought I remember that very vividly. It was a very powerful witness to me at the time.
So he grew up Catholic?
He grew up Catholic, yes.
Okay. Where did he come from? Where did he grow up?
There in Imperial, which is about, I'd say 25 miles north of Fort Stockton, on a farm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was at some point his grandparents, I don't know the whole history of on my dad's side, they were born and raised in Mexico and then at some point migrated over. So his parents were born and raised here in the States, or here in Texas. But yeah, he grew up there in small, and he like 500 people.
Wow, that is a small town.
Yes.
Now, what parish did you go to growing up?
At the time, it's called St. Joseph's there in Fort Stockton. So now it's there were 2 Catholic churches there in Fort Stockton, but it's since, I think, maybe 5, 8 or so years ago, the bishop merged the
Okay.
2. So it's like there's still 2 geographical areas,
Uh-huh.
parishes, but it's under 1 parish now.
Okay. So,
So,
2 buildings,
2
but
buildings, yes.
1 parish.
Yes.
Okay. And then what brought you here to Houston? Did you move here for college or?
Yeah, so I graduated college in May of 2004 from Angelo State University. And my Catholic faith was, again, it was on the surface. There's
Okay.
no depth to why I was Catholic. But I remember I broke up with a girlfriend in May of 2004, graduated from college finally.
Uh-huh.
Took me a while. And then my father had heart surgery that summer. And it was a very impactful summer. But I knew that at least at that time, I wanted to coach college football.
Uh-huh.
I had some friends already in that profession, and I had grown up an athlete playing sports. And I just remember, I think I was a senior in high school, saying to myself, like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to coach football. And so I moved out here, I wanted to start my career path, but also, take graduate school classes
Uh-huh.
in sports management.
Wow.
But also with the breakup of the girlfriend and my father having heart surgery and just seeing him in a state that I'd never seen this, invincible man in my eyes before, like,
Uh-huh.
wait, my dad he's going to have surgeries. And so it just left me shattered. And I wanted answers to why I was Catholic. And I didn't want to put my family, at least at the time I thought, a wife and kids through a divorce. Like I wanted to be a good, solid, Christ-like man to my
Uh-huh.
wife and kids. And so that's why I moved out here to Houston. Priesthood was not even on the radar.
Really? So
At the
even
time.
through high school and college, no thought of it whatsoever.
There was a thought here and there, like just because of being an altar boy growing up, and I actually had a good priest mentor, my pastor there in Fort Stockton, who I still keep in touch with today. Left a good impression of priesthood and just a good, solid witness to the priestly vocation and spiritual fatherhood. But
What's his name?
Father Joe.
Father Joe, and he's still there.
He's in Austin. Is Bishop Vasquez.
Okay.
Yes, is my godfather and the pastor that I grew up with.
Wow. So your dad and that pastor were pretty much like your father figures
Yes.
growing up. It helped shape your faith.
Yes.
So then you said your dad's surgery got you digging deeper.
Yes. So those 2 events were monumental that summer, the breakup of the girlfriend and my father's heart surgery that July of 2004. And I just began to ask some serious questions like, what is the purpose of life? Why am I here?
Uh-huh.
What am I going to do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was also searching for grad programs. I was looking at Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth,
Uh-huh.
in sports management. And so the University of Houston had that program, and that's why I moved out here. And Bishop Vasquez was already out here at the time, and so he was the only one I knew here, and so that helped with the decision. So I started that semester at U of H in sports management, and but also the faith was beginning to grow.
Okay.
I'd attended an awakening retreat through the University of Houston Catholic Newman Center, and really just lit a fire in my heart that I'd never experienced before, and met some good friends too that were living out their Catholic faith and still keep in touch with them today. But the language of priesthood and how vocation and discernment, new language. These words were so new to me. Like I'd never
wow.
vocate. I'm not called to be a priest, and what discernment. Like I'm not called to be a priest. Like that's those words. When I heard those growing up, that's what I associated those words with was priesthood and religious lives. Like no, I want to get married. I want a wife. I want kids. I want to coach football, and that was it.
Uh-huh.
So
And you had people talking about their vocation as parents and as single people.
Yeah.
And so that really surprised you.
Yes. Yeah. It was a huge surprise. And just being out in the desert for so many years, and you come to this oasis of friendship and a newfound understanding of the Catholic faith and all the traditions, the saints, and And it really just, again, that fire began to grow and burn deep within me. And I wanted to share that. I wanted to know like more of, God, what do you want out of me? I'll do whatever you want. And scary thought and expression, to say that to God, like I give you permission. And that's what I did, because at least in my mind at the time, I thought, yes, I'm going to find a good Catholic woman here in Houston. I'm going to start my career. We're going to get married. We're going to have 11 kids. And, but, my heart remained open. And so the priesthood was very slowly started to grow on me as I started to learn more about our Catholic faith.
So you were on fire the way your mom was.
Yeah.
When you were younger.
Yes.
So you experienced that, like, oh, this is what mom went through.
Yeah.
And then, so you started learning more, but at what point was it that you were like, okay, maybe I'm not going to be a football coach. Maybe I'm called towards something else.
Yeah. So I was oscillating back and forth for, it was a 5-year discernment process for me from the time I moved out here to Houston in August of 2004 to the time I was accepted in May of 2009. So it was gradual. And I do mean gradual, a lot of fighting, a lot of wrestling with God and the discernment of spirits and going on retreats. And so I said, okay, God, this is, I'm a Catholic man, and I want to do your will. And you put this on my heart. And I was scared. I was frightened, going on a discernment retreat at the seminary, like just stepping on the grounds of a seminary was frightening for me.
Really?
Yes. I'm like, what am I doing here? This is scary. I don't want to do this. Okay, God, I'm going to do this.
Were you in denial? Like, no, this is not for me the whole time?
Oh, 100%. I don't know, just the Holy Spirit, convicting me like, okay, and I was also measuring it how I was living my life. And the shallowness of what that brought me, the misery, the emptiness, the pain of some of the very poor, immoral decisions that I had made in my life. And I thought, okay, God, I'm going to trust you, because I know that I didn't trust you before, and I know that I tried to figure things out and do things without you in my life. And this is the pain and heartache that it brought me and, family and people that I was acquainted with. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to try this path. I don't fully understand, and I'm scared, God, and I need answers, but I'm going to move forward.
So while you were in this process, this 5-year discernment process, did you have some friends who were like, what are you doing? This isn't you. What's going on here?
So there are different, groups. So the people that I grew up with in high school and in college, yes. What is Preston doing? He's thinking about priesthood. But then the people that I met here in Houston were excited because, again, I had surrounded myself with good Catholic friends that had God on the forefront of their minds and hearts, and priesthood, religious life, marriage, whatever it might be. Like this was like they ate and drank Catholicism. So it wasn't a shock. I mean, they challenged me, like, hey, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
Just do it. I mean, just at least apply or, go on these discernment retreats and see what it's like.
Yeah. If you don't become a priest, it'll make you a better father.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that at the time. Like I thought, well, okay, am I signing up to be a priest now? So just like wrestling with all these questions and like, what's, if I drive onto campus, they're going to lock me in there and not let me out. They're going to force me to sign on the dotted line and, just kind of.
That is scary if you think that's the way it works.
Because I was trying to figure all this out on my own for the first time. Nobody had walked with me prior to that because, just how I grew up. And so the more that I talked with people, more I talked with priests, and even I started to meet seminarians at the time, like, no, this is so. Through that struggle and the doubts, then yes, they started to answer a lot of my questions. So
at what point did you finally say, okay, I'm going to go into the seminary. I'm not going to pursue, being a football coach?
Yeah, there were actually, in 2006, I decided to apply to seminary for the first time. Father Clint Ressler was the vocation director at the time, and I got to know him. I'd been on a few discernment retreats at the seminary, both here at St. Mary's and at Holy Trinity Seminary in Irving. And I was already teaching physical education at Rusk Elementary School. So I started that in August of 2005. And so I was, like I said, I was out in the desert for so many years, and I was just thirsting. I was dry inside. This interior life was dead. And came upon the lives of the saints, the teachings of John Paul II, and the theology of the body, and I just soaked it up like Jeremiah 15:16. I devoured your words. And so it started to seep into my heart and mind. And I also, again, the surrounding myself with these Catholic friends. And so this priesthood language was common. And I thought, okay, I'm going to apply. So I met with Father Clint. We started the process, and I was denied.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And,
do you know why?
I do, because of the divorce of my parents. And
oh, wow.
And I was it was hard. I went through the whole process, the psychological evaluation, the interviews, but I was very grateful, looking back on, I was so grateful that, the process has improved over the years. And, that was part of it,
So it's different now.
Yeah, it's much different now.
Okay.
I mean, so when I went through it then, and I was grateful because even though we pray for priests, we need more priests. Like, we were broken. And so my brokenness, as a young boy, and the dealing with the divorce and how it scarred and my future relationships with people, my understanding of life, marriage, family. So I started to see a psychologist, to help me piece together, those wounds from when I was a kid and growing up. And
so you were still carrying baggage.
I was still carrying a lot of baggage.
And you didn't know about it.
I didn't know about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it came out during this whole process.
Yes.
Through the psychological evaluations.
Yes. And so, I was already at that point, I was very serious about doing the will of God. So, okay, I'm going to be honest. Like, this is who I am, Lord. This is who I am, Father Clint. This is who I am. This is my background. And, I want to do your will, Lord. So I was turned down, and I thought, well, maybe, Lord, maybe just ask me to go through this to address these issues.
Okay.
And so, I was at Rusk Elementary for 2 years, from 2005 to 2007. And then I applied or put my application into the Archdiocese to teach and coach in the Catholic schools. And so in May of 2007, I get a call from the principal from St. Francis de Sales Catholic School. And then so I go in for an interview, right after teaching PE at Rusk. I was sweaty and smelly, stinky, and running around with the kids. And so I show up there on one afternoon, and she hired me as the boys' PE coach. And then, so at that point, I'm thinking, gosh, this is pretty awesome. My career has taken off. I started to coach sports there at the St. Francis de Sales Catholic School. But also the tug of the priesthood is still on my heart.
So it still wasn't enough for you.
It still wasn't enough.
That you were a coach and you were working at a Catholic school.
Yes. And so it was pretty awesome to see the differences, the public school and the Catholic school, and just being able to take the kids to adoration, to pray with them. I said, I told the boys, I don't care that we're in PE. We're not going to leave God outside of this gym. We're going to invite God into our hearts in this gym. So we're going to go and pray, whether it's like a Hail Mary or Our Father in front of our Lord there in adoration. Then we go and do the activity. And so I was, processing this opportunity of coaching, and also the thought of priesthood still on my heart. And then in 2008, I was coaching a track and field there at St. Francis de Sales with the kids, and we would use Strake Jesuits track and field. So we'd go over every day about 4:45, 5 o'clock. They'd have football practice, and then we'd use the track and field when they got finished. And the coach, the head football coach at the time, Coach Counter, he asked me, he's like, hey, would you like to be an assistant football coach here at Jesuit? I thought, wow.
This is it.
This is it. I'm like, wow, okay, Lord. Next step and on the career path. And so I accepted. And so what I would do is I would teach boys PE throughout the day. Then at 3 o'clock, I would drive over to Jesuit for football practice. And so that was in the spring of 2008. So that's happening, but also these desires in my heart are about priesthood. And, Lord, is this your will? Like, what is your will for my life? And so I'm being proactive, prayer life. I'm going to mass every day, which was huge. I mean, I just made it very important. Like, this was non-negotiable. Like, I'm going to go to mass. I'd go to Jesuit or Annunciation when I was at Rusk, at 6:30 or 7:25 there at Jesuit, and then go to school after that. And
Now, at this point, you already dealt with the issues that you had coming from.
Yeah, and I was seeing a Catholic psychologist, from time to time, just to, again, processing, certain situations, experiences from my childhood, and piecing together the brokenness and allowing the Lord to heal those wounds in my heart, and which is very beautiful. I mean, it was not easy at first, just saying that I wanted to go through with this.
Yes,
but now it's been beautiful.
Now, during this point, after you got rejected the first time with the seminary, did you pursue dating?
Yeah, I did. I was talking with a priest, and I was talking to him about all my, struggles, the journey, and, should I date? Should I not? And he's like, Preston, you need to date. I was like, okay, I will.
So he told you that?
Yeah, it's just like, it gave me a freedom. I mean, again, I understood better, this idea of freedom and what pure dating looks like, and what a good relationship looks like. And so I was pursuing very cautious, but nonetheless, I was making that decision. And, God had put some good, solid Catholic women in my life, and, talking with them, and, going on dates with them. And when the mud settled, nothing, there was no strong desire to continue down that path of, whether it was, a possible engagement or just even going on several more dates. It wasn't there.
So there was no one girl that you left to go into the seminary?
No. There was a few, but it wasn't like I was dating one for 2 or 3 years and we were very serious. We were talking about marriage. That wasn't the case.
Okay. So it was, you were dating around, having, good relationships, but nothing super serious.
Nothing super serious. Yeah.
So at what point did you reapply to the seminary?
So this was in the spring of 2009. I'm 30 at the time.
Okay.
And I'm getting ready, I'm getting old. Getting old, and I have to...
For an athlete, yes.
For an athlete, yes. And so, I wanted to put to rest this idea of priesthood.
Okay.
And because I said, okay, I want to get married, I want kids, and, I don't want to be... I want to be still young when I'm having kids, having 4, 5, 6, whatever the Lord wanted, but I need to put the priesthood to rest. So I said, I need to apply one more time, and then I'm moving on. Because at the time, I was coaching at Jesuit, and career's taken off. But I still had this idea that God might still be calling me to be a priest. So I reapplied with Father Dad, actually, in 2009. And I already known him. He wasn't like a coming to him, for the first time.
Okay.
So we already had conversations, and we had met before that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, again, laid everything, my whole life, out on the table. This is who I am. This is my past. This is my family. This is my relationships. These are my desires. And went through the process. It was late in the game. It was, I think it was March 30th. I just helped out at a awakening retreat for, I think it's through the University of Houston, Greater Houston area. And then there was just a spark, a light in my heart that I needed to do this one more time.
Did you think that, they're just going to reject me again? I
did.
So you went in thinking, they're going to reject me again. Let me just get this over with, and then I can go back to coaching.
Yes, and then I was done. I was like, take me off the email list. Don't call me. I'm done. This chapter is going to be closed after you tell me no.
You just wanted that closure.
I just wanted that closure, and that was it. That was it. Because I was thinking marriage, I didn't want 10, 20, 30 years from now, looking back and saying, what if I had applied one more time? I just wanted to put it to rest and move forward. And so I applied, and again, I was completely honest with everything. And I was accepted on May 20th, 2009. And I knew there was a interior peace that I never experienced before, that I knew this was from God.
Really?
Yes.
You knew that this was the right thing?
I knew this was the right path, the right decision, because of all that I'd been through.
Now, when that happened, what was it like telling, okay, I can't coach anymore. I've got to resign, all of that. Was that tough for you? Because, you that was your goal, to be a football coach. Was that hard to let that go?
Yes. So I remember it was a couple of weeks before that when I knew that I didn't know officially at that point, but there was a good inkling, an idea that I was going to get accepted. And so after the athletic banquet at St. Francis de Sales Catholic School, a Friday night, everything's done. I'm in my office and I'm crying, just
Oh,
bawling. This is my dream, Lord.
wow.
And I never forget this conversation with the Lord.
Uh-huh.
Do you love me enough? Do you love me enough? And do you trust me enough to let go? And I never forget. Yes, Lord, I trust you.
Wow.
And I was crying. I thought I'll never coach again.
Wow. Yeah, because this was the dream.
This
You
was
were right
it.
there.
I mean, I had it.
Uh-huh.
I had it. And I said, Lord, okay, let's go. But it was hard. I had come to this understanding more about marriage, family, human sexuality, the theology of the body,
Uh-huh.
and giving up a wife, the sacrifice of giving up a wife and kids, and all that made sense to me. Like I could, not that it made it easy, but I could understand it better.
Mm-hmm.
But it was leaving the coaching that was difficult.
That was the harder part.
That was the
you.
harder part for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you entered the seminary, did you say, "This is it. I know for sure I'm going to make it all the way," or were you still like, "Oh, I could still go back to being a coach if this doesn't work out"?
There were a few moments like that, but for the most part, this was it. The vocation director or the formator said, "No, Preston, we definitely don't think you're called to be a priest." But in my mind and heart, I knew this was it.
You went in with the mindset of, "I'm going to see this thing all the way
All
through."
the way through, yes.
Wow. Without having to look back.
No looking back.
So what was it like going in? Was it what you imagined it would be, the seminary?
It blew me away.
Really?
Rocked my soul in a good way, in
How's
an
that?
awesome way. When I arrived at the University of Dallas at Holy Trinity Seminary, meeting some good guys and actually some athletic guys, thought, hey, this is awesome.
Uh-huh.
And similar background and stories and hearing their journeys. And, so we get up there and, I'm still wanted to be involved in sports. And so we have an intramural football team, the Seminarians.
Okay.
And the first year that I'm there in 2009, we win the intramural championship at the University of Dallas. And on the surface, it may not be a big deal. Like, okay, who cares? But, seminarians playing sports, playing football, and winning the football, at a small university for intramurals, it was a big deal for the whole campus.
So you played against other teams that weren't seminary?
Yes, played against just normal college students.
Oh,
and
that's
so
cool.
we had a good squad, and we went back to back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was a pretty neat. And
was this tackle football?
No,
or
no.
Flag football.
Flag football.
Okay.
Yeah. Although at times you might have to question: are they playing tackle or is that flag?
But it was still very competitive.
Very
I'm sure.
competitive. Yes. Yeah.
And then, so at what point of you being in the seminary did you say, this is where I'm meant to be? Was it right away? Did you say, "Oh, I made the right decision to reapply," or was it something gradual?
At that point, it was the attitude of this was the right decision. There were very little regrets, or maybe I should have waited, or why did I do this? I didn't have any of that at that point. When I entered in 2009.
Going into the seminary, so you said Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
How many years were you there?
2 years.
2 years in Dallas, and then because you already had a degree.
I had a degree, correct. So I just did philosophy.
Okay, and then you came to St. Mary's.
Mary's, correct.
And then how many years were you here?
5 years at St. Mary's. So 4 theology and then 1 pastoral year.
Okay, and where did you spend your pastoral year?
At St. Anthony of Padua, up in the Woodlands.
Who was the pastor there at the time?
Father Tom Rafferty.
What was that like, going in there, being in the parish?
Yeah, that was incredible because, again, going back to 2009, leaving coaching and then walking out of my office crying, knowing that, at least at the time, I would never get to coach again. This was it.
Yes.
So I get up to St. Anthony of Padua in the Woodlands, and the principal reaches out to me. Preston, we know your background. We know you coached basketball at St. Francis de Sales Catholic School. We're looking for a boys basketball coach. Thought,
oh my gosh.
what? No way. Will you coach the boys basketball team? Like, well, let me ask Father Tom, see if it's okay. So I talked to him. He said, yeah, sure, go for it. So myself and this other gentleman coached primarily the 7th and 8th grade boys basketball teams at the Catholic school there at St. Anthony of Padua. And that was just incredible. I was in a dream, it seemed.
You've got the best of both worlds at that
point. Yeah, but it was a neat experience coaching them and teaching confirmation and being up there for a year, just to really immerse myself in the life of a parish and what it's like, from this side of being a priest.
Mm-hmm.
So
now in the seminary, we always ask this of our guests. What was life like in the seminary when it came to pranks? Did you experience a lot of pranks?
I did not. I didn't prank anybody, and I didn't care to be pranked.
So did you witness any pranks?
I didn't witness any pranks. I didn't see any seminarians, but I would see the what they did, whether to somebody's room or whatnot.
What kind of things did they do at that time?
They turned stuff upside down in people's rooms.
Nothing too edgy.
Nothing too edgy.
Okay. But you were more there for
yes,
studying.
Study.
Let's get,
Yes.
So you were a little bit more serious.
A little bit more serious, yeah.
Another thing that some of the seminarians or priests, they said when they were in the seminaries, they had experience with what you call chalice chippers or cassock chasers, girls who are trying to grab. I mean, let's face it, you're a good looking guy. You're really fit. I could see a girl saying, hey, he could make a good husband. Did you have any experience while you were in the seminary, while you were in Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, we encounter people all the time, and whether mothers, wanting a good guy for their daughters, and yeah, it's to deny that reality is not good, but it's just to be aware. Yes, and there's a help that sacrificial element to it. Like, yes, this is what I'm sacrificing, and it's also good discernment. Is God calling me to priesthood? Can I say, Lord, are you asking me to sacrifice this particular woman and these future kids? And this is why it's so important that we men who are called to be priests have that understanding that I am attracted to women and to particularly one wife and kids. This is who we are. This is the theology of the body. I mean,
yeah.
So yeah, there were those temptations, those attractions, but just to, again, the awareness and God's grace. God, are you going to give me this grace to see this vocation through?
And then, of course, you were able to go through that.
Yes.
After your pastoral year, you go back into the seminary. I'm sure you're reinvigorated. What was that like going back into after your pastoral year?
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard because I got a sense of what parish life is like, and this the Holy Spirit just really convicted my heart that you're on the right path, and this is how God is going to work through you with your gifts and talents to help people, help the body of Christ, help people in need. And so there was some challenges, going back into the dorm, the studies, which were good, but it just really excited me that, priestly ordination coming up in 2 years, and what the possibilities were.
Did you get impatient? Like, these 2 years, it's taking too long.
Yes, there was definitely some impatience. And
was it hard letting go of the coaching again?
It was. And now, funny story. So the spring semester going into our last semester and right before priestly ordination, so some of my classmates and I are talking and kind of wondering, where we're going to be assigned, and, so I start joking that, well, how neat it'd be if I get placed in a parish with a Catholic school that has a football team. I help coach the football team, and we win the championship. So this is spring of 2016. So fast forward, Cardinal DiNardo gives me my assignment on that Friday, June 3rd. You've been assigned to St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. Get there in June. Football season starts out. They're 6-man in August. And so Father Reynolds, very grateful for him for allowing me the opportunity to coach, and then also the other coaches allowing me to help out, we win the championship.
Wow.
So it was neat. I mean, just to be able to coach as a priest. So I helped coach the football team, and I coached the 6th grade boys basketball team, and I helped out with track and field that first year. So it was neat.
So you lived both dreams at the same time.
It was incredible. And looking back in 2009, when when the Lord says, "Do you trust me?" Yes, Lord, I trust you.
Wow.
And then you fast forward and
championship coach.
Championship coach.
So let's rewind. Where did you spend your diaconate year?
St. Vincent de Paul.
What was that like?
Yes, it was good, but I was only there twice a month, 2 weekends a month.
Okay.
So it was hard to get to know the people. I tried to be involved as much as I possibly could, but we were still taking classes at the seminary.
So it wasn't like your pastoral year?
No. Which was a challenge for me because I really enjoyed, being with people. They have a Catholic school there, but I couldn't be as involved as I could.
And you couldn't coach any teams either?
Couldn't coach any teams
because you're only there twice
a month. Yes.
Okay.
For the masses. Yeah.
Now, going into your ordination, what do you remember the most about that ordination day?
My mom and dad, and the struggles and the journey that we had all been on, the three of us. Because I remember when I began to apply the second time in spring of 2009, I didn't tell them. I didn't tell a lot of people. I told the people that I needed to tell, but I didn't tell my mom and dad because of the fear that, I'm going to get rejected. So then I'm going to have to tell them, I've been rejected again. And so I'm just going to go back to coaching. And
so they knew you were rejected the first time, but they didn't know that you were
did not know.
Applying again. How did they react the first time you applied?
Surprised and reserved, hesitant. I'm the only son. So kind of in their minds. And I mean, just on the surface, the reality of, our last name dies, Quintela. But so there's been a lot of grace, and there was a lot of grace in their own hearts and their journeys with me as I journeyed to, priestly ordination. And so I remember my dad calling. This was a week before my diaconate ordination in 2015. He calls me and he says, "Son, what's a mortal sin? What's a venial sin? I want to go to confession." I'd been in, he said, I think 30 years at that point.
Wow.
And I almost had to pull over. Like I was in tears. I was like, this is a moment of grace.
Wow.
Like he said, I just want to be ready for your diaconate ordination.
Yeah.
And it really it was incredible just to see God's love and mercy moving in their own hearts. And, because I tried to, as much as I possibly could, to keep them involved. When they asked, how was your day? I would be very intentional about, this is what I did today. I woke up this morning, went to the liturgy of the hours, then went to class, or if it was on pastoral year, just all the activities and what I was doing, just so they could hear that their son was happy, joyful, is okay.
Yes.
So that's something I try to convey to them.
Did they see a change in you? Did they see like how you were being shaped?
We've never had that conversation. They never expressed it, that, like that. Like I see this in you. I've seen this change. But I would say, yes, they probably could see some kind of change. And
then, so talking to them, that kind of put them at ease.
Yes.
With their discomfort with you becoming a priest.
Yes.
So you said during your diaconate, that's what hit you.
Yes, and then at the priestly ordination, it was just it was incredible. I mean, just to see my mom and dad there and being a part of the ordination, and sitting right up there in the front pew, and the joy that they had on their face, and tears and excitement, and it was neat.
That's the one thing that you'll always remember about your ordination.
I mean, besides the having my hands consecrated. I mean, there was that element, obviously,
of course.
But I mean, just the journey that my mom and dad had been on up until that point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was there any particular moment that really affirmed your vocation?
Yes, I would say there were two moments, really three moments, three big pivotal moments in this call, in this process, this journey. Because one, I come from divorced parents, broken household. Okay. I mean, there was some stability after the divorce, but I thought God doesn't call men like me. I come from divorced parents. I've played sports. I've had girlfriends. I've had a career. In my thinking, my shallow thinking, I think, no, God, you definitely did not call men like me.
I'm not that type of guy.
I'm not that type of guy. I'm a sinner, Lord. So I moved out here to Houston in 2000, in August of 2004. And in 2005, during the summer, I had already completed a year of grad school at University of Houston and University of St. Thomas. And I was just perusing on the internet, Catholic internet articles. And I come across this article that says, former University of Buffalo quarterback leaves potential millions to study to be a priest. I thought, wow. And this guy had finished third in passing behind Ben Roethlisberger and Byron Leftwich.
Wow.
In, I think it was 2002 or 2003. And so that really played a huge point. I still have this article. I highlighted. I mean, he was, fraternity guy. I mean, party guy. And I could relate to this guy. It was a moment of grace. Now, I still had a lot of work to do, but definitely reading that article and hearing about his own story and his calling to the priesthood really helped me. The second one was in 2008. I just started coaching high school football at Jesuit as an assistant football coach. So that summer, all the coaches attended the Texas High School Coaches Conference in San Antonio. We'll leave on a Sunday, and then on Wednesday morning, we leave San Antonio, the conference, and we're on our way back. We stop at Flying J Restaurant, exit 583. There's a Denny's restaurant inside the Flying J.
Okay.
Have my plate of food. Flat screen television on the wall. Fox News is on. It says, the caption read, former professional soccer player leaves millions to study to be a Catholic priest. It was now Father Chase Hilgenbrink. And I just listened to this. There was no coincidence. Like the fact that I was there at that exact moment in this interview, this live interview that he's doing with this news station blew me away. Because again, the mindset of like, God doesn't call men like me because of my background. And here it was, fast forward 3 years from reading about that story about Joe Freedy and now Chase Hilgenbrink, like Preston, I do call guys like you. You're going to be fine. And I just was blown away at that encounter, listening to his story. And so that was the second one. The third one was meeting Pope John Paul II in 1997 there at the Vatican with Father Joe. And it took several of us over there for a pilgrimage. And so getting to meet him and not knowing really at the time his own story. And I was more enthralled about meeting a professional athlete than I was about meeting the Pope. I said, who's this guy in white? Type of mentality. But so I still have a picture of me shaking his hand. And after he died and this call started to grow stronger and stronger, looking at his own journey, his own call, his own struggles that he went through really played a pivotal part. So those are three big events, moments of grace that I would say helped me to make this decision that God was calling me to the priesthood.
So you get your first assignment, and then like you said, football coach and all that, you're living the life.
Yes.
That's fantastic. How long were you there?
3 years, from 2016 until June of 2019.
What parish was this again, did you say?
St. Elizabeth Ann Seton.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're there for 3 years. Was it hard letting that one go after you?
Yeah, that was very difficult.
Especially after winning the championship, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it was difficult. I had a lot of tears, the final mass and celebration there in that last Sunday in June. And then I was reassigned to St. Cecilia here on Bunker Hill in I-10 for actually just 10 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so just 10 months there, and then...
And then I was assigned as a parish administrator down in Sweeney, West Columbia, because that priest was moved over to St. Jude Thaddeus in the Highlands, because the priest had died there, I think in January 20... So domino effect. And so Sweeney in West Columbia needed a priest down there. So I've been down there now a little over 2 years.
Okay.
May 1st, 2020 was when I was assigned down there.
And that's just part of, living the life as a priest.
Living the life as a priest, yes.
Do you kind of think of it as like you being an athlete? Hey, I got traded to another team,
There's some similar elements. Some NIL deals and transfer portal. Yeah, but there's definitely some freedom there. Like, hey, I'm at the whim of the bishop, and so I immerse myself in the life of whatever parish or now parishes that I'm at, and that's where I'm going to bloom. And so I don't think like, what am I going to do in 5 years? Like, no, I'm in 5 years, I'm going to be in Sweeney, West Columbia, or I could be somewhere else. And so it's very.
So there's no word as to where you may end up after this.
No.
And is this one of those? If I'm not mistaken, this is a small, like 2 buildings as well, right? Like how you said earlier.
Yeah, they're 2 physical churches. Two names: Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Sweeney and St. John the Apostle in West Columbia. So there's always been one priest to serve those 2 parishes, and it's 9 miles apart.
And you're there now. And how far is that from here, from Houston?
About 60 miles, 65 miles.
Oh, wow. Thank you for driving all the way out here. So we talked about you being an athlete. What's your regimen like? Because you're pretty fit. I got to say that. I noticed that during the basketball game. Wow, Father Preston, he's really fit. You running there on the court with guys half your age.
Yeah, Keenan. I was like, Lord, please help me to.
What's your regimen like?
It's pretty sporadic right now.
Okay.
I might run, a mile or 2 with some weights, some small dumbbells, with strength training shoes or flip tires, or I've got a lot of workout equipment in my garage. It's kind of a small gym.
Okay.
Or I'll do yard work, moving heavy rocks. I just bought some heavy limestone rocks that put around the trees, and so I'll use that as an opportunity to work out and try to stay physically active and fit, and also in anticipation of the basketball game. So just growing up, playing sports from 6th grade all the way up through a year in college, playing college football, really instilled some good physical regimens in my daily routine.
So you did play in college?
1 year.
1 year?
Yes.
What position did you play?
Wide receiver.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so you do have to be fast.
Yeah, so I actually walked on at Angelo State University in 1998, spring.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do you still get to play football?
No.
Flag football or anything like that?
No, I haven't in a long time. It's been actually a few years since I've just played flag football, but I try to stay away from just the injuries and whatnot, just the contact, and my ages and bones is starting to show.
How old are you right now?
43.
43, okay.
Yeah.
It's not that old anymore, 43.
I know.
But still, as an athlete, yeah. So do you have a hard time trying to schedule, working out with this, with the schedule of being a priest?
It is a challenge, definitely a challenge, but try to stay super intentional about, working out. Like this morning, I went to go shoot baskets with our coach at St. Thomas More. Then after this, I'm going to go to the 24-hour fitness. So just trying to be there for the people. If I'm going to be there for the people, I also have to take care of my physical health and spiritual health, obviously, but the physical aspects. So I try to get in. It could be a 20-minute workout. I try to do something every single day.
Squeeze something in here and there, wherever you can.
Yes.
What about the diet? What, to stay as fit as you are? Sorry, I'm picking your brain right now because
I definitely try to stay away from sodas, sweets. I enjoy sweets, and I do eat them, but I don't. I try to say thank you, but please pass this on to somebody else.
Even if you do, you don't gorge on them.
No, no. So every so often, but for the most part, I try to stay away from those 2 food items.
But you're not like a vegetarian or anything.
Not a
like
vegetarian.
That, no?
I don't have a strict diet, but.
So we talked about the basketball game. All right. How did you? Were you one of those who was instrumental in getting it started?
The power of the Holy Spirit convicted us, and kind of some background story there. I think it was in 3rd theology. Another seminarian had sent an email out about the Mundelein basketball tournament, pretty big, where several seminaries will go up there every January to compete in this basketball tournament, like 16 seminaries. So I got word of this. I was like, why aren't we doing this? So we formed a team and flew up there in January of 2016 and Competed well. I mean, there's Father Joseph White was part of that team.
Okay.
So we did okay. Not great, but okay. And then as we'd also competed against Holy Trinity Seminary the next month in February of 2016. And we noticed that there were a lot of people, young families out there that we had met in our pastoral year assignments and whatnot, just to try to, bridge that gap, letting these young people, young boys see us outside the collar and helping them to think like, yeah, I could be, like so-and-so and there he is catching a pass, there he is shooting a basket. And so I said, what can we do to carry this forward? And I had talked to Father TJ, who was the vocation director at the time. I said, Father TJ, do you think we could have a pre-seminarian basketball game when I was still in the seminary? And he says, Preston, we don't have enough talent on the priest team or the priest right now. You guys would destroy us. So it was probably April, I think, 2016, where some of us are sitting around the table there in the cafeteria and seminary and think, what about a pre-seminary basketball game here in Houston, Galveston, Houston? So we'd heard about several games popping up throughout the country, Louisiana, Minnesota, Arizona, Los Angeles, Orange County, whatnot. I thought, why not here? So, it wasn't, somebody had to take the bull by the horns and spearhead it. So it wasn't just me. It was like there were several other, or a few priests, seminarians at the time discussing this idea. And so I just took it and ran with it and, started to form a team and talked to the seminarians and said, hey, you guys want to do this? Chris Meyer, was part of that initial founding of the first game. And then so we formed a team, and our first coach was Coach Dominic Amarosa from Strake Jesuit. And we had no idea how big or small it was going to be. We had no idea. It's like, we're just going to throw it out there. And I remember the idea, like, go big or go home. And there was no small gym mentality. We're going to go big.
Okay.
And if it's a flop, okay, then we'll scale back.
Yes.
And then so April 2017, we have the inaugural event. And I remember talking with Coach Dominic at the time. It was before the game started. We're still warming up. And I asked him, Coach, how many people you think are here? I was probably about 1,500. I was like, oh, great. I mean, this is pretty... I was like, Lord, if we just have 500 people.
Yes.
This will be great. First time event. First quarter ends. People are still filing in.
Wow.
And so one of our assistant coaches, Coach Mouton, I asked him to be a ref. And he thought, I'll do it. So he's a track coach at St. Thomas More. So he shows up late. I'm like, Coach, where you been? It's like, I thought this was a pre-seminary basketball game. It is. Because he was so blown away by how many people were there.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how that got started.
And then it just started to blow up.
And it just blew up.
I mean, this last one, I was talking to one of the security guys over at Rice, and he was like, I've never seen it this full.
Wow.
He said, yeah, I've never seen it this full. Like Father Christopher was saying, yeah, one of these days we'll be in Toyota Center. That's how big of a crowd is being drawn in.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Father Christopher, he's spoken in his interview about the head games that you've played with him. Is it fun messing with him?
It is. The first game in 2017, I fouled him on a 3-point shot. And so he had 3 free throws, and I'm standing there to his right.
Okay.
And at the top of the free throw line. On the side, and I'm just talking trash to him. I mean, it was like, hey, Christopher, you got a sexy beard. Hey, Chris, how our class is going? And he misses all 3. Yeah, no, it's been good. The fraternity, the camaraderie, and helping bridge also that gap with seminarians, being ordained and kind of there's that fraternity already being built. In place, having Father Joseph White, Father Jacob Ramirez, Father Houston, Father David Michael Moses, even then Father Ryan Stallways. So it's been neat, just to build up the priesthood like that.
I still can't get over how Father Christopher said you were in his head for a year.
I know, I couldn't believe that. Like, man, Chris.
Now, speaking of this last game, the last game, it was pretty much a blowout of sorts.
Yes.
What do you attribute that to?
The fact that we can't practice every single week, and it's hard for us to come together. You know, the seminarians, they all are there at the seminary in one place. They can walk over to the gym. They don't have liturgical duties. They don't get spiritual emergencies where they have to go to the hospital. And so that is a factor.
You think that's the biggest factor? Because I think athletically, you guys were still, you were right there with them. I mean, they do have some young guys like Keenan and Arturo.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you were keeping up with them. Father David Michael was, there was still, I mean, athletically, yes. But they're just, I guess it's really them just being able to play as a unit, huh?
Yeah, and they do have those 3 tournaments that they play in every year against Assumption in San Antonio, either the Josephinum or the Mundaline and Holy Trinity. So where they get good game experience, and again, they're playing every week. The coach comes there every single, I guess, Monday or whatever it is, and so that does play a factor. Even though, we have the talent, but just to being able to work together and work as a cohesive unit on the court, when different guys are in, and so it does because of our schedules and the distance. But what we're doing now is we're coming together on Saturday mornings, at least once a month.
Okay.
So that way we had 10 guys out a couple weeks ago.
So you guys are able to prepare, able to scrimmage, able to...
Yes, and working on some skills. But that was the most we've had in the 6 years that we've had this, or going on 6 years.
Really?
Like, we've never been all together until actual game day for any of our practices.
So 10 guys together, that's good.
10 guys together is good.
Now, how do you plan on dealing with their height? Because they've got a Twin Tower situation there with Luke and with Raymond, yes.
Yes, we're still trying to figure that out.
Because they're, what are they, like 6'5"?
Yes,
6'4", 6'5"?
Luke is like 6'5", 6'6", and Raymond's 6'4", something like that. I mean, they're the Twin Towers.
And then the tallest on the priest team is what, like 6'2"?
No, we've got Robert, Father Robert Murphy. He's about 6'4".
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to have to do the dirty work down low with it.
Yeah, Houston and TJ are the big, stronger guys, bulky and taller, that'll have to deal with them down low.
And then you'll be on the wings.
I'll be on the wings.
Running around with Keenan and with Arturo.
Yes. Well, I don't know if you've heard, but Father Chad Henry's younger brother has been accepted. Wesley Henry, who has, I've been told, a better athlete.
Uh-oh.
So we've got our work cut out for us.
Okay, so now you've got brothers against each other, just like
Father Jacob and Father Nicholas. Yeah.
Now that they're on the same team.
Yeah.
So they've got that tradition going on of two brothers playing each other.
Yeah. Carrying on the tradition. Yeah.
So you're thinking you have a better chance this coming?
I think so.
Especially with Father Joseph
Father
back
Joseph White, yes. So he'll be a great addition.
Plus the guys that have moved over.
Yeah, well, we got the secret weapon, Father Chris Meyer.
Yeah, you won't be in his head this time.
I know. Hopefully he can get in the head of some of the other seminarians.
It's like you won't be messing with him. You'll be like more of positive enforcement.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yep. You can make the shot.
Yes. Yes. Come on, Chris. You got this.
Now, before the game, it seemed like you were really focused. I tried to interview you before the game. You're like, no, it's okay. Not right now. Interview the other guys. It's good. Were you just really nervous about the game or just,
nervous, focused? Yeah.
But then afterwards, it was, you were really relaxed. And, it was a great experience to see the guys, in a different setting. Mm-hmm. And then, the sportsmanship afterwards as well. Yeah,
that's something that's been very beautiful. And, when people ask me, Father, what do you think about the event or the games? Like, well, there's two different distinctions here. There's the game itself, which was an awful performance for us priests athletically, but also the event, the bigger picture, to foster priestly vocations here in this archdiocese, homegrown vocations where, again, these young people, these young boys can have a positive, wholesome experience of priesthood. Because many times, I was probably in that rare exception growing up, my priest, Father Joe, then Father Joe would, we'd go play flag football, after Mass on Sundays. All the altar boys and the parents would go out there. And so I got to see my priest outside of the collar. And so that's what we're trying to, provide is just, hey, that we're human, that we sweat, we enjoy playing sports, we enjoy this game of basketball.
You can be a priest and an athlete.
Can be a priest and an athlete, yeah. So then when they see us on the altar, the confessional, in our office, like they know that, oh wow, I saw Father Preston out there, getting schooled by Keenan and missing a layup in front of 3,500 people.
Is that what you would say to somebody who's probably considering a vocation but is afraid to let go of something else like sports? Is that what you'd say to them?
Yeah, I would say that God doesn't zap what he's given to us. He's not going to take anything away in that regards, like a gift, a musical gift, an athletic gift, whatever it might be. He'll use it in a way that you're not going to understand. Like I didn't understand how the gift of coaching and teaching would be used to help out so many people. So some of my classmates, Father Nicholas is an engineer. Father Coy he enjoys art. He enjoys drawing. I mean, he's got those particular gifts, and God uses those gifts for the greater glory of God. And so that's what I tell young people or people, whether young adults or in high school, like, look, God is not going to take this personal gift that he himself has given to you. You're just not going to understand how it's going to be used to help the team.
Kind of like when you went into the seminary thinking, oh yeah, letting go of coaching.
Yes. I thought I will never, my mindset walking out of St. Francis de Sales Catholic school, I'll never coach again. I was convinced that I would never coach again. And I was preparing myself to be at peace with that. Of course, we would, working out and playing small games with guys here and there. But as far as the opportunity to coach as I have done, I never thought that.
So what's your prediction for next year's game?
55-53 priest.
Oh, so you're predicting a close game, but you're going to eke out that win.
Yes.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for making the trip out here to Full Share, for, coming and telling your story. Any last words that you'd like to, convey to anyone who may be discerning a vocation? Be
not afraid. Take that step and pray your rosary and just trust God. Just allow God permission to come into your heart and your mind, and he will guide you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rudy. God bless.
God bless.